Hello everyone, welcome to the Listen Able podcast, a podcast about normalising disability with myself, Angus O'Loughlin.
Oh, g'day, I'm Dylan Alcott.
G'day, Dylan Alcott. We are sitting next to each other, but usually I go into a bit of a spiel about, what's going on and what's happening, but I think you should give a bit of a plug to start this one, Dyl.
Well, it's going to relate to the next guests because they are on the bloody lineup for Ability Fest. Ability Fest, for the first time, is touring. So this weekend in Melbourne, October 19, right next to the Yarra River in the heart of Melbourne, Alexandra Gardens, and October 26 in Bris Vegas, in Victoria Park. So we're so excited, and we'll talk about what Ability Fest is in a minute, but tickets are flying out the door, so make sure you go grab them. The lineup is massive. We've got Ocean Alley, Cub Sport, King Stingray, Bag Raiders, James, Keto Alexander, Asher Jeffries, and our next guest.
Before we let him introduce ourselves, to get your tickets, it is one click away. The show notes below. Make sure after the episode you click and get your tickets because money goes to the
Dylan Alcott Foundation, where we support young Australians with disability. Our next guest was someone that we've got around via that, but also if you buy a ticket and fill out an entry form, you can win a brand new car. It's a Kia Sportage. So tickets only $60 as well for everyone. We understand cost of living's a bit tough at the moment, so we just want everybody to come down, have a good time, and listen to good musicians do their thing, which our next guest is going to get the chance to do.
Let's let him introduce himself.
G'day, guys. I'm Andrew Dewberry, and I'm a DJ, music producer. I'm going to be playing at Ability Fest in a few weeks, and I'm super keen to do that, and I'm super keen to be on this podcast. Thank you so much for having me, lads.
Mate, no worries at all. Mate, so do you have a disability yourself?
Yeah, so my disability is a congenital one. I have Spina Bifida. Basically, just what that is I guess when I was in my mother's womb, my spinal cord didn't form properly. Basically just affected the development and growth of my lower limbs, specifically from my hips below. So therefore I just kind of use a wheelchair to get around.
We'll get into the disability crap in a minute, but come on, who cares? Let's talk about music. So, mate, what kind of genre do you produce? And more importantly, for me as the founder, have you been getting your set ready? Because I want you to kick some ass in this weekend and the weekend after.
Yeah, well, I guess when it comes to like producing and DJing, I'm definitely more so in the kind of electronic realm. Definitely doing your house, your UK garage, your techno, and your trance, and all that stuff. Yeah, all the type of sounds that really get you pumping and moving. That's kind of right up my alley. I'm putting together the best I can for Ability Fest, and I'm so excited.
We take a request.
Will I take a request?
Right now, what if we give you a song to chuck into the mix?
What if you're lame?
Really?
You never ever ask a DJ to request that. That's the number one rule.
I know a bunch of DJs and they love it when you hold up a phone saying play ABBA Dancing Queen.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
I'll take a drink order as well if you want, if you know where you are.
Exactly, Jeeves. I'm a big UKG man myself these days. We're gonna get a bit of garage.
Yeah, yes sir, absolutely.
Sammy Virgie.
Now, you've done international shows as well, Bali, and we'll talk a little bit about your experience over there. I think you're half Indonesian as well, so heading back to the motherland, which is very cool. But for you, when we talk about music, have you thought, because a lot of people will take a set like this, like the biggest DJ spot of your life, and they'll just throw everything at it. Whereas, we're really good friends with a guy called Tyson O'Brien, who used to be called DJ Generic, and he opens for Calvin Harris pretty much every single show Calvin Harris has done for the past 5 years. And I remember talking to him, and he's like, I have to play the room to build for the act after, which is Calvin. For you yourself, you've got a set during the day, you're building towards these big shows. Are you just throwing the script out and just going, absolutely not, this is my headlining spot and I'm just going to absolutely rip into it? Or are you going to chuck some mellow tunes out for the type of day, people eating some potato scallops?
Oh man, it's a good question. It's a good question because it is kind of common knowledge with DJs that we're all about reading the crowd, sussing the terrain and then playing accordingly. Which I've definitely had to do at certain times and at gigs. you have to bear in mind, what, who you're playing for and what the time is. And obviously if you're supporting a headline act, for this show, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna absolutely go for it. I think the opportunity like this doesn't come often, and I kind of want to showcase the best I can do. That's just the type of guy I am. Always want to give it my best. Always want to give it 100%. So
love it. Someone's before you, so they're just opening for you.
Just play pounders, mate. Don't worry about it. Just play pounders.
Just put some Skrillex on. Just put out a real big dub.
Oh, but that's this is your moment, man. And one of the cool things, obviously, about Ability Fest is we've got artists with disability on the lineup. On par with anybody else. And mate, what does it mean to you to get to play? One of the biggest gigs, I guess, of your career so far. I know when you decided to playing your first gig back at a mate's 21st, kind of Ability Fest that night after a couple of beers became one of your goals.
Oh man, I mean, this is the biggest gig that I've played. So
yeah, I didn't want to say it. It's my festival, but I know it is.
yeah. I'm not blowing smoke, but the reality is like I think all those years ago, just playing for a mate's 21st. I mean, at that time, I had no ambitions or no real goals ahead of me in terms of DJing. But I think I had a lot of other things going on in my life at that time, which I'm sure we will talk about at some point. But yeah, no, I think it's so right that like my first really big gig and festival is Ability Fest. I think just in terms of how I've involved myself with the disability community and how much I care about it, and obviously you do as well, Dill. I think kind of taking this DJing / producing kind of journey on. I think it being at like the most accessible, the most inclusive festival is just I don't know, it just seems right.
The unfortunate standard.
Yeah, I do have to ask about your access rider. So there's two types of riders. Your normal rider, which is just full of piss and whatever you need, and then your access rider. You're in a chair, obviously. So DJ decks are normally pretty high, and I always make the joke, if I'm a DJ one day, I'm going to be DJ hands, because that's all you'll see, because you can't see over the decks. What do you do? What do you do for people that are listening? How's that going to work when you go to when you blow up, which you're about to, random clubs, or you play somewhere else? Like, how do you make it accessible for you?
Oh, it's an evolving process at the moment. I mean, I don't have one exact kind of process in terms of getting myself access to decks, because you're right, they're usually on like a desk, or like a for people that stand, for able-bodied people, so because they're standing and when they use the decks and stuff. So generally, I just try and communicate with the event manager or any other staff involved. And at the moment, what seems to work is just basically getting like a platform which someone or staff will kind of drag out and put in front of the decks beforehand, just before my set. That just elevates me and allows me to use the decks much more comfortably. I know I need to brainstorm a bit of an easier way to do it, but so far everyone's been so accommodating. But yeah,
I've thought about this too. Like, you've almost, when you're like very lucky, one of my best mates is Dom Dollar, right? And he's just playing 4 shows a week. But if that becomes you almost need a fold out platform that you can bring with. I've thought about this in case I start DJing as well. You need like a fold out, lightweight platform that you control and you just bring with you. Is that kind of a thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, anything really, just to cut out the middleman and just let me use the decks as is. But I mean, I always joke, just put me in the crowd, just put me like boiler room style, just have everyone around me. Don't have me on a stage or just chuck me in there.
They should be up elevated and you're in the middle, then they'll be able to see you.
That would be sick.
And because, Andrew, you're at a point where, you're going to take most gigs, right? If a nightclub sees your Instagram and sees the crowd work you're doing, the music you're playing, they go, oh, cool, let's book this guy. That sounds amazing. And yes, we can put a platform next to your decks. And if you roll up on the night and realize, because a lot of businesses and clubs think they are accessible just by having, you know, a platform for you to be elevated next to a desk, not understanding the true access needs. Are you at a point, because you are, you know, at the start of your DJing journey and you're only 25 yourself, do you have the confidence to speak up at the time? Would you email that club after to say, here's some difficulty I had because I hope to come back next time? How does that work for you? Or do you just grin and bear it because you don't want to be a problem?
No, well, yeah. I mean, look, I definitely would say something on the night. You know, obviously I would try and have prior communication before and obviously try and mitigate any issues on the night. And I guess if there were to be any issues, you know, hopefully I would know about them beforehand, so then I can do a bit of problem solving and whatever. But yeah, if I did just rock up on the night, hypothetically, and they didn't have anything for me, I would definitely be quite passionate about, finding some sort of solution, because I definitely wouldn't want to just tap out and be like, all right, I guess I'm not playing tonight. You know, DJing is so much fun for me that like any opportunity is a great opportunity. So, I don't know. It's hard because I guess, you know, if you were in that situation where there was nothing about, or they didn't have anything, I don't know. I feel not the fault, but the responsibility goes both ways in terms of figuring it out and figuring out what we'd have to do next. Yeah.
I think it's an exciting time because, yes, it is still changing too slowly, but 5 years ago, you were no chance, brother, for this kind of stuff, I reckon, in all seriousness. And I think it is developing. I know through our foundation, which obviously all the money for the Ability Fest goes towards, the Dylan Alcott Foundation, is to support legends like yourself. We were able to sort you out with some stuff. Can you talk about that and what the mentorship of producer and legend Tom Evans, who does a bit of work for us, was able to do?
Yeah, no, super grateful to be a Dylan Alcott Foundation grant recipient as well. It was super grateful to get just a bunch of gear, musical gear, just for kind of like the basics of music production, I guess. So like I got some headphones, which I'm wearing right now, these are bloody amazing. Yeah, and then just a bunch of other things like microphones and cables and just stuff to help. Like, you know, when I get the space to set up a home studio, then I've got everything I need. I don't have to go out and about and pay, you know, hundreds of dollars just to book a studio. I can do it all in house. And with Tom Evans, he's been fantastic, as kind of like a mentor, and just someone to kind of liaise with and talk to about, I guess like the production sides of things in music and not just DJing. And, you know, I was super lucky to spend some time in a studio with him last time I was in Melbourne, a few months ago, and just work on some tracks. Definitely wanted to have a few more things out already, that I've made, but life has had different plans at the moment, but hoping to drop some stuff at Ability Fest. So yeah, I'm super keen for that. Yeah.
And the people that don't understand the music industry probably just think DJs play music, but the big DJs are actually producers because they got their own song, right? And that's what kind of gets them. When did you decide you want to go down the producing kind of route? And you can produce anything these days as an electronic music artist, but like where do you want to put your fork in the ground, stake in the ground, as what kind of genre you want to produce first?
With DJing, I've been doing that since I was a child. I mean, it's all been a hobby for me for a very long time. I guess more so DJing, and as you said, like I guess to make the distinction, DJing and like playing other people's music and mixing other people's music, I've been doing for basically since I was like 12 years old. But in terms of producing and actually making my own music, I've kind of been dabbling in it for maybe the last 5 years or so. But I've only really started to take it seriously now. And I guess I just want to make stuff at the moment that obviously fits in with the music that I play. So again, a lot of house, a lot of techno, a lot of like UK garage. But I guess a lot of artists, are very creative people, right? So I can imagine I get myself to a point where if I find myself just pumping out the same stuff, I know myself too well, and that'll probably evolve and that'll probably change over time. So I can't really say where I'll be, what type of stuff I'll be making in the future. But at the moment, I just want to make stuff that really complements what I'm mixing and playing at the moment.
Looking forward to hearing your production, mate. Just going back, we did mention at the start about Bali. A lot of people associate Bali with being, third world country. And, if you have been to Bali, look, the roads are pretty cobbled and rough at times and very busy. Gutters are non-existent or are pretty harsh. A lot of people would think when you hear about, a man in a chair or a chair user such as yourself DJing in Bali, they're probably putting together a visual in their head that wasn't right. Can you talk about your experience there? Because I know it's exactly the opposite of what I've described.
The Bali experience was quite funny just because I to be quite honest, primarily I just booked Bali for a holiday, and I had a mate who lives there, and he's also a DJ, and he runs events and stuff there, and he said he'd try and hook me up with a gig, and yeah, he basically did. He got in touch with the club owner, and basically got me booked to headline this gig, and so obviously I was super excited. But yeah, there is that thought of like, oh man, okay, first international gig, but like Bali of all places, and yeah, you're right. You have that kind of caricature in your head of like what the access is like and what the infrastructure is like around it, and you're right. It's it's not accessible. Not it's not accessible, but it makes life very tough for a wheelchair user such as myself.
Confirmed. It's not accessible.
Yeah.
Can say it. Like, I push down the middle of the road with 8 million people on scooters just giving me high fives because they've never seen a wheelchair pretty much either.
Yeah.
Like, you can make it accessible, but it is like tough. And I'm not deterring anyone from going, but it is, you just got to be ready just to battle on in some spots.
But we are talking about, I guess, the infrastructure of the streets. What was the moment like when you rolled into the nightclub?
Yeah, basically the same thing. Like, I had to have people like carry me up the steps at the entrance. And the thing is, I think what I want to say about Bali is, despite the lack of access, the people around are so willing, and they're so enthusiastic and generous and willing to help you. Mm-hmm. Like, you never feel, or at least I can only speak for myself, but I never felt like I was a burden asking for help, or I would never even ask at times. They just do it on their own accord, and they just, as Dylan says, you go on the street and there's about 50 million scooters and people driving around. But I always found that if I was around the area, people always people going out of their way to like help me cross the street or just make sure that I'm safe, or, things like that. So at the club, it's the same thing. They just, they had security, just carry me up the front stairs. And then once you get in, it's pretty flat. But then, of course, when you go to play, then that's a whole different thing, because it's that same thing. The stage is up, and you got to step up onto the stage, and the decks are really high. So, but the club that I was playing at, again, like, which was quite refreshing, I didn't have to communicate with them in any way, and they just grabbed some wood, grabbed some tools, and they just built me a stage to allow me to get to the decks. That felt nice, to be honest, just because like they just, again, I didn't feel like I was having to burden anyone by asking or having to be a problem, by saying, can you make these accommodations for me? They were super enthusiastic, and they just got it done like that.
What club was it?
Red Ruby nightclub.
Red Ruby, where's
that?
And Salmoniac, shout out to Red Ruby. Big fans of the podcast, actually.
Huge, big listeners. They actually play us from 6 till 7 every night. Don't play music, just play the podcast.
Yeah, you guys were actually before my set. You guys actually opened. Yeah.
Sorry to everyone that was there.
Good on you for leaning into that one, Andrew. We love it. So you live in Perth, is that correct?
Yeah.
I love that we didn't start here, but just give us a bit of an overview on your journey up until finding the decks at 13. Spina Bifida, you were a chair user from. Did you ever walk traditionally on two legs, or were you always a chair user?
When I was a really, really young child, like I did use like a walker, and I used crutches for a little bit. I was able to kind of bear weight through my legs a little bit, but I guess they kind of degenerated over time, and just basically using a wheelchair became my primary and only form of kind of like transportation and movement and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, like I've always definitely I'm heavily influenced through my parents' taste of music. My dad's from London, so he played a lot of a lot of that UK garage, underground house, underground techno, kind of a lot of jungle, drum and bass kind of stuff. So that heavily influenced my taste. My mother was more so on the kind of R&B, disco, funk kind of side of things. And yeah, when you're around that, you kind of obviously start to get to know the culture around that. And obviously there's a lot of DJing, a lot of mixing around that type of music. So yeah, when I was about, I think I was in like 8th grade or something. And basically, yeah, my dad just bought me a pair of decks, really small, basic 2-channel pair of decks. And then kind of just went, there you go have a play. And that was it.
You used to do something else pretty good as well that you haven't really mentioned. Obviously, before, this is where we first met. Before music, mate, tell us about what you were doing on the sporting field.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of wheelchair basketball, which is obviously an understatement. That was, I would probably say, my first passion in life. And yeah, started doing that when I was about 9, all the way up until last year. Had such an amazing experience and journey with that, and all the opportunities and just general lifestyle with that, which is totally, I'm sure you know, Dylan, it's so different to, I guess, any other person. And there's a lot of things that when you just try to talk to people about it, that they just don't really understand, because it's just a different day to day.
You played for the Perth Wheelcats, not the Wildcats.
Very good.
In the NWBL, the NBL for obviously the wheelchair division. Mate, you played juniors for Australia, correct? Under 23s?
Yeah. So I played.
Did you get a rollers singlet?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I made my rollers
being
debut.
the men's team. Yep.
Yeah, the senior men's team. In 2022. Yeah, so I got my jersey. I went to the World Cup last year.
The way Dylan has always told me, 6+ years of friendship, is that, his name is still echoed around the halls.
Oh, that was good.
Is that the case? Just because I've been told that story so many times that, you've got it just like Dylan does. Dylan Alcott.
Yeah,
that
for sure.
3-point shot, the flick of the wrist, just like Dylan Alcott. That's what he tells me. They still say.
Yeah, no, it's true, because we have our team meetings around Dylan's statue. And that's where we just before we hop on the court, we just talk about what we're going to do, and we just kind of kiss our hand, and we just
exactly. My number 13 jersey.
They retired it.
As Ben Ettridge, the coach of my coach, who's from Perth, and Brad Ness used to call me Illan with no D because I didn't play defense. Good. That's
not bad. That's actually pretty good.
That's my legacy, is zero defense. But just before we get to something else, why'd you step away in 2023 when the Paris Games were a year away?
No, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, like I said, like basketball was my first passion, and it was something that I just completely, grabbed onto at such a young age. And, it was my life, my whole life, from then on. And, I guess the short way of putting it is like, for myself, I can only speak for myself, but, I like to think I'm a very self-aware person, and I definitely take a lot of pride in myself in how I try to approach life, in the sense that, I think balance is key to just a lot of things. And, I'd been doing basketball for so long, and I was good at it. And I don't mean to say that, I don't mean to sound immodest when I say that, but like, I think I was good at it, but I just started to feel in a lot of other ways where I was lacking in life, and whether that was socially, even just, off court, like what was I doing, what things am I doing to kind of enrich myself and to fulfill myself, and even just seeing my family, spending time with friends, I've got a partner now, just how much time I was spending with her. And of course, it all just starts to accumulate, right, over time. And then just, I think especially last year, you know, going to my first major tournament at the World Cup, I think I think I just got burnt out, really. I mean, that's the easiest way of saying it. And I know that happens. It's common for a lot of athletes to get burnt out. But yeah, I think just after all the energy I put, especially into that World Cup and the preparation for that, I think when I got home, I kind of just took stock again and just had to think about, like, what else do I have outside of this? Because I do think it's important to have other things for the sake of whether it's your mental health or just your overall just stability, right? And I kind of had that realization that, man, I don't have anything. Like, I haven't put any eggs in any other baskets. But that's what's required for that level of sport, right? You have to be dedicated. You have to be obsessed. You have to be, and I totally respect that. And I totally appreciate that, but it's just not me, really. And, I've just thought about what are all the other things that I love to do. And first thing that popped into my mind was music. And also I just thought, well, what else am I good at? I thought, well, I'm okay at DJing. Maybe I can make something out of this. And that was basically it, really. That was the whole thought.
Good on you, mate. What were you, a class 3?
Yeah.
3-pointer? Mate, they needed a 3-pointer in Paris. Could have used a bit of Dewbs out there, to be honest.
To be honest, out of the Australian men's team, they needed something else as well.
Yeah, the rollers and the rollers and the boomers. Just
no good. Women, though,
yeah,
great
Opals did good. Yeah.
We finish with the bowl of uncomfortable. Andrew, this is where someone has sent us a question, sometimes a bit prickly, sometimes quite inquisitive, and the goal of it is to ask the question to make it uncomfortable in the future for everybody else living with disability. That's the hope. This one comes from an anonymous through Instagram DMs, and I remember reading this and going, holy shit, sticky. DJs like yourself and DJ Cooper are most likely charity hires because of your disability. Do you believe without your wheelchair you'll be performing to these size crowds?
That's a really good question. I was waiting for this. I was wondering what it would be. So I'm a charity hire. Yeah, well, forgive me, boys. I might need to think about this one.
No, take your time.
We love a question that makes people think and
yeah.
I'm just trying to find out the set times so I can do when you're playing.
I guess to my absolute core, like I do disagree with that. I think, I certainly, in terms of when it comes to my DJing, I've always, people who are really close to me and people that really know, they know I've always talked about, if I could do this anonymously, and I truly mean this, like if I could go back to the 90s or whatever, where, the environment was the DJ doesn't have to be shown and, they're kind of in the corner and people are just focusing on the music and just, you don't even see the DJ. They got their backs turned towards the DJ and stuff like that. I said, like, I've always said that I would do that. And I think the reason being is because I do have such confidence in my taste and in my abilities that I think just looking at me and seeing them in a wheelchair, I don't think it would make a difference at all as to what content I put out, as to what I do. I think just, and even, myself, just from when I have played shows, like, people don't lie. And I'm not in a situation like that. And when I see the response that I get from crowds and the feedback I get after shows or the DMs I get after that, like people don't have any reason to do that. So I do hope and I do know that I'm here on merit and not just as a charity hire.
Beautiful answer, brother.
Because if I am, then this Ability Fest is the last gig. Has to be.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I didn't book you at all for that, mate. I booked you because you got great music and just want to show the world. And the disabled acts at Ability Fest aren't charity hires, but they are getting an opportunity that they deserve and maybe aren't getting elsewhere. And what we want to do is give you the moment to shine. So the Beyond the Valleys, the pictures, the Coachellas go, that kid's good. And we want to give him an opportunity too. And
DJ Cooper, who was mentioned, is a great reference to that. He's played festivals. He did the AO Open festival as well, and it all started with Ability Fest. So, we hope the same success for you and beyond.
Shout out to Coops.
Good on you, Coops. Thank you so much for coming in. Dylan's going to give us one more plug. Of course, it's in the show notes to be one click away from getting your tickets so you can see Andrew yourself on stage. Dylan is desperately...
Bro, do you know when you're playing?
On the Melbourne show, I do, yeah.
When are you playing?
Playing at 9 p.m.
You're closing the dance stage.
Oh, you're closing the stage?
Do you know that?
Oh, am I closing it?
Yeah, bro. You're headlining the dance stage.
I did not know that. All right. Because I was wondering, I wonder who's after me, but okay.
Wild cool. As well, that dance stage. So that's going to be a whole bunch of fun. By the way, as well...
mate, that is pressure, to be honest. So it goes...
Well, you can play your big bangers.
Waxo, Bag Raiders, Jordan Brado, Crybaby, then you... Good luck. Main stage, King Stingray, 1-4, Cub Sport, Ocean Alley, James. There you go.
Can I just say, just make sure you put that as your thing, opened for Bag Raiders. Bag Raiders opened for me. That'd be
that's
great.
Going in the press kit, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Everybody, it's on this weekend in Melbourne and the weekend after in Brisbane. If you are listening to this as it comes out, if you are not, we hope there will be an Ability Fest 2025, 26 and beyond. So make sure you follow the Instagram account, which is also below. I'll be there, mate. Come on.
1-4. How good's 1-4?
Oh, 1-4?
Yeah, playing in Melbourne.
1-4 is playing in Melbourne?
Yeah, we've booked 1-4.
That is wild. Yeah. And I've heard a rumour Kid Leroy's going to come out with them. So,
I heard that. And Kendrick.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody make sure their tickets are below in the show notes. But this guy, Andrew, good luck closing the stage in Melbourne. That's going to be huge. I'll be there with a, seltzer in my hand and my shirt off.
And some glow sticks. Good on you, Dewbs. Love you, mate.
Good. All right, boys, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.